Hi everybody, it's Sammy. For those who know me, hello again, and for those who don't, it's very nice to meet you, hopefully in person one day. I have received an opportunity that is the most exciting opportunity I foresee for the rest of my life, and I thought I would share because I think it is a story that encapsulates grief and inspiration and excitement and every emotion you could think of in one. So I received a text and then a phone call, and I'm going to read you guys the text. Hi Samuel, it's Brielle with NMDP. We were known as Be the Match when you joined our registry on 10/25/2022 with a cheek swab. You have now matched with a patient battling a blood disease and could save their life. I'm going to give you a call from our 855 number in a few minutes to share some more info. So, my first thought when I get this call is this is not real, because why is a random phone number texting me that I'm saving someone's life? And then, upon further investigation and the phone call 3 minutes later, it's very real, like very, very real, and happening very quickly. And I'm just, I've had, I've been freezing cold with the chills since I got this text and call on Friday. So I thought I would share a little bit more about what it is. So obviously, you read the text. I am a member of the NMDP Bone Marrow Registry. And so what that means is the day I turned 18, I requested a test kit to swab my cheek and have my results of my DNA put into a database to see if somebody battling a leukemia or lymphoma or some other kind of cancer that requires a stem cell transplant is a match with me and I could donate to them. And what's really interesting about this is it is not common to match with somebody. Most people go their whole lives without matching with anybody. They swap their cheek once and they never hear back again, which is crazy because there's way more people who have leukemia, lymphoma, other cancers than you think. And obviously that's not the case for me. I matched for somebody. And what's really interesting about that, there's a couple really interesting, crazy, coincidental, maybe not coincidental things about this. Number one, I am an Ashkenazi Jew, and Ashkenazi Jews, based off of what I've gathered on the internet and talking to people who've undergone transplants or been witnesses to them, have about a 1 in 1,000 chance of joining the registry and matching with someone. Where it gets even more complicated, not complicated but interesting, is my best friend Charlie was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia in May of 2024, and she received a bone marrow transplant September 12th, 2024, which obviously, the months from diagnosis to transplant were horribly scary, and the months after transplant until she unfortunately died from complications, that was September to February, so about 9 months total, were even worse and so scary. But it is just the biggest mind game in the world that I have matched with someone to donate my bone marrow when my best friend was the recipient of bone marrow, albeit her mother's, because she didn't have a suitable match. They all fell through. And I don't know. I'm at a loss for words for how I feel about that. And what's so interesting about it is I obviously, from her diagnosis, I was already very sad and feeling all of the things and like I was feeling anxious, sad, angry, why her, the feelings you would expect. And then when she died, so much of my grief. Oh, also, excuse my room, but I'm gonna be a real person. When she died, I and I still am in the trenches of grief. And I know I have a big smile on my face, and I'm generally a very happy person. But grief wreaks havoc on your life, and it permeates into every single aspect. And learning to live with it and make purpose out of it is not easy. And for those who've had either a parent or a friend or even an animal, obviously that's like not as intense, but like you know what grief feels like. And for me, my grief has been highly, highly taxing on my life. I think it's better than not feeling it, but sometimes it can be a lot. And some days I feel glued to my bed, and I've been struggling, especially over the summer, of like, what do I do with all of these feelings? And so this opportunity kind of swooped in right at the right time. My birthday was on the 16th of September, and I like to think of this as like Charlie's birthday present to me. Because now I have the opportunity to save a 61-year-old male from, I have no clue where he's from, and I have no clue what his name is. But the 61-year-old male has the same exact leukemia as Charlie, and that's acute myeloid leukemia. That is the most aggressive, most deadly form of leukemia. And I believe it's the most common in adults as well. Not all of them require a stem cell transplant, but this patient does, and Charlie did, based on their mutations. And so obviously I had that phone call on Friday and the text, and then pretty much immediately following that, within half an hour, I was then on the phone again for 2 hours. And those 2 hours were comprised of any question you can think about my health and my health history and who I ate dinner with 12 years ago on Hanukkah. Like, they got everything. And so that was 2 hours. And at the end of the phone call, I scheduled a blood test for this Tuesday, which 30 days is September. Oh, that's tomorrow, the 30th. And so this blood test is going to confirm that I'm a match for him. And it's also going to make sure I don't have any infectious disease and I'm in good health regarding my blood. I'm not worried for it. I really hope that I am a match, and I really hope that nothing pops up, but I'm generally not worried. And after I give the blood, assuming everything goes to plan, the patient is still a good candidate for transplant. I'm his best option, hopefully. That's also an assumption. I know nothing about him except I'm a potential match. Then I will proceed to have a physical. And as you can imagine, it's probably going to be similar to the phone call, where every nook and cranny of my body is inspected and made sure that it's in perfect health. And then finally, 4 or 5 days before I donate, I'm going to start a medication called filgrastim. And for those of you who have had cancer and had intensive chemotherapy, you've probably been on a drug similar to it. So you either take a drug called filgrastim or Neulasta or anything in that family. And what this does is it increases the number of white blood cells. So after Charlie would get chemotherapy, there would be a period of time where all of her, it's called your ANC, your absolute neutrophil count, that's like what fights infection, would be 0. And with AML, it's fine if that's at 0, and that's to be expected, but let's say for triple negative breast cancer or any breast cancer, that's not good, because then you cannot fight infection, and so you get a medication and it raises your white blood cells. In healthy people without cancer, with regular ANC counts, it causes your bone marrow to expand, and that expansion causes stem cells. Think of stem cells as a seed of, let's say, a strawberry plant. And that seed will eventually turn into roots and stems and leaves and strawberries. And all of those parts of the plant are different kinds of blood cells. They all come from that seed, which is the stem cell. That will cause stem cells to exit my bone marrow, which is what you eat from cow bones, like you love bone marrow. And and it will cause it to enter my bloodstream. And then after 4 or 5 days of being on that medication, I'm going to get flown out to wherever to donate, and I'm going to sit in a chair for anywhere from 3 to 9 hours and have my blood drawn and filtered and put back in me continuously. And at the end of that donation, I'm going to be left with maybe a pint, maybe 2 pints of my stem cells. And this is like millions of cells. And simultaneously, 7 days before the recipient gets my donation, he will undergo extremely intense chemo. When my stem cells are infused into him, they're going to find their way into his bone marrow, but this chemo needs to make room for it, and so it kills all of his bone marrow. And they're going to get into his bones, and they're going to start producing my blood with my immune system and my DNA and my blood type. I'm O positive, in case anybody's wondering. That's about 36% of the population in the United States. And I'm going to have a genetically identical blood twin. So if you were to draw his blood and you were to draw my blood and karyotype them, or like look at the chromosomes on it, everything would be the exact same. And I think that is just the coolest thing in the entire world, that a stranger who I have no clue who he is going to have my blood. It's so cool. And the timing of this, I know I mentioned this earlier, like how cool the timing is, but I just cannot emphasize enough that I really felt so helpless when Charlie had cancer, and I was able to be there for her as a friend. And I do take comfort in knowing that I did a pretty damn good job, and we had that was the closest we've ever been in either of our lives, was when she was in the hospital. She was in Columbus. Like, given the circumstances, our friendship could not have been better, and that is something that helps me sleep at night. But I also know, and many of you guys know, that when a loved one is sick or dying, you always wish you could do more. And this is me being able to do more. And so this is like the most cathartic, most altruistic, most helpful thing I could possibly do for myself and for somebody else who is probably feeling all the same things Charlie has felt, maybe worse, maybe better, it doesn't really matter. And so I guess my purpose in making this video is that, number one, I want to share, because I'm really proud of myself for matching with somebody. I think it's just the coolest thing in the world. Like, I just can't believe it. I'm still in disbelief. It's been almost 72 hours. I still can't believe it. But also it's to encourage everybody else to join. My camera's about to die. But join if you're eligible. It's between ages 18 and 60 something. And Charlie's biggest mantra was, I can do hard things, and this medication is going to cause me some pain, and that chair is going to hurt my butt for 3 to 9 hours, but I can do hard things. And hopefully one day I will be able to say that I saved someone's life. And I don't know, that's all. I'm so elated with this, and I hope everybody in the world gets to save someone else's life through this.